Hey everyone, and welcome back. As a CMA professor, I've got to tell you, I am absolutely thrilled to guide you through today's explainer, Control Deficiency Remediation, Fixing the System. We're going to explore a highly practical, incredibly important topic within the internal controls domain. Now, in our previous sessions together, we've spent a ton of time learning how to meticulously design controls and how to rigorously test them. But let's face reality for a second. The system isn't always perfect, is it? So, I want you to ask yourself, what exactly do we do when a control is broken, missing, or maybe just completely ignored by the staff? In the real world, and trust me, for sure on the CMA exam, identifying that a problem exists is really only half the battle. You can't just point at a fire and say, hey, look, a fire, right? You have to know how to categorize its severity, how to properly extinguish it, and then crucially, how to prove to everyone that the area is safe again. That entire start-to-finish process is what we call remediation.
Okay, let's dive into this. Here is the agenda we'll conquer in this explainer. First, fixing broken internal controls. Second, grading the deficiency severity. Third, the four-step remediation lifecycle. Fourth, using compensating controls. And finally, a CMA exam practice question.
Section 1. Fixing broken internal controls.
Let's start with the discovery phase. Finding a broken control? Well, that's a great first step. But fixing it is where the real heavy lifting begins. We need a systematic approach to take a broken system and make it whole again, ensuring that management and auditors can actually trust the financial data being produced. Think of remediation as a three-part harmony. You categorize the problem, you fix it, and you prove it works. Mastering this specific life cycle is exactly how you're going to maximize your score on exam day. You really have to know how organizations pivot from merely finding mistakes to executing structural, long-lasting repairs.
Section 2. Grading the deficiency severity. Before management can even begin to fix a control problem, they desperately need to evaluate its severity. And here is a massive exam tip for you. CMA examiners absolutely love testing your ability to distinguish between these categories. The syllabus uses a very specific three-tiered classification scale for control flaws. At the very bottom, we have a basic control deficiency. This happens when the design or operation of a control doesn't allow management to prevent or detect misstatements on a timely basis. It's an issue, definitely, but it's relatively minor. Stepping up from there, we have a significant deficiency. Now, this is a deficiency, or maybe a combination of them, that isn't quite top tier yet, but it's important enough to merit the direct attention of those charged with governance, like your audit committee. And finally, at the very top, we have a material weakness. This is your absolute red alert.
Let's break down this most severe tier just a bit more. A material weakness means there is a reasonable possibility that a material misstatement of the company's financial statements will not be prevented or detected on a timely basis. I want you to notice a key word there, possibility. It doesn't say certainty. If a flaw leaves the door wide open for a massive, company-altering error or fraud, it is classified as a material weakness even if no actual fraud has happened yet. You're evaluating the risk here, not just the historical outcome.
So what's the ultimate dividing line you need to remember between a significant deficiency and a material weakness? Well, a significant deficiency means your audit committee needs to get involved right away to look at the process. But a material weakness? That means you're risking a massive, company-altering financial error that could seriously mislead investors. Basically, it's the difference between having a leaky pipe in the kitchen and having a fundamentally cracked foundation under your house.
Section 3. The four-step remediation lifecycle. Now that we know exactly how bad the problem is, how do we fix it? Think of this like a medical doctor diagnosing an illness. A good doctor doesn't just hand out painkillers to mask symptom. They follow a strict, structured protocol to cure the actual disease. Here is the exact workflow you need to memorize. Step 1 is root cause analysis. Don't just patch the symptom. Find out why the control failed. If a supervisor isn't signing off on journal entries, is it a management philosophy issue where they're just getting lazy, or are they completely overwhelmed by a poorly designed workflow? Step 2 is designing the corrective action plan, or CAP. This is where management designs the actual fix. It might involve updating software permissions, rewriting a company policy, or even hiring additional staff to achieve proper segregation of duties. Step 3 is implementation. This is the moment the new, shiny control is actually put into live operations. And finally, step 4, retesting. I really need to drill this crucial exam trap into your memory right now. A fix is never finished just because you installed an update. You cannot just implement a patch or roll out a new policy and immediately check a box saying the issue is remediated.
No way. The newly implemented control must operate for a sufficient period of time. We're talking weeks or months, so you can actually verify its operating effectiveness. You have to prove it works in reality, not just on paper.
Section 4. Using compensating controls.
So, what happens when perfect remediation is actually impossible? Because, let's be honest, sometimes due to tight cost constraints or just the sheer small size of a business, a company simply cannot perfectly fix a control. That's when we have to shift our focus to alternative defenses. We call these compensating controls. These are secondary safeguards that basically step in to mitigate the risk when a primary flaw just can't be easily fixed. Let me give you a highly relatable example. Imagine a very small accounting firm. They simply do not have the budget to hire enough staff to properly separate the custody of assets from the recording of transactions. By definition, that is a deficiency. But to mitigate that risk, the owner of the firm decides to conduct a rigorous, independent review of the daily bank logs. That daily review acts as a compensating control. It steps in to reduce the severity of the deficiency. It's a brilliant, real-world workaround that examiners absolutely love to test you on.
Section 5, CMA Exam Practice Question.
All right, let's bring the energy up. We have covered a ton of great theory today, but as your professor, I need to know you can actually apply it. Let's walk through a classic multiple-choice exam scenario to test the logic we just went over. Read the setup carefully with me. During an internal audit, it was discovered that an automated system failed to flag several inventory transactions that exceeded approved credit limits. This created a reasonable possibility of a material misstatement. Management immediately updated the software parameters to correct the issue. What is the final step required to fully remediate this control deficiency? Okay, let's systematically break down our options. Option A is documenting the software update in the IT logbook. Well, updating the software is just the implementation step. Documenting it is a basic tracking requirement for sure, but it definitely doesn't prove the fix works. Let's skip down to C, reporting the successful patch to external auditors immediately. Communication is totally fine, but declaring it successful before testing it, that's completely premature. Option D, reducing the inherent risk rating. This is a tricky distractor. Software fixes change control risk, which is the risk that your systems fail. They do not change inherent risk, which is the natural underlying risk of the inventory cycle itself. So, by process of elimination, that leaves us with option B.
And there it is. The correct answer is B. To complete the remediation lifecycle, you absolutely must test the newly implemented parameters over a sufficient period to ensure operating effectiveness. You have to run real, live data through those new parameters over time to verify actual compliance. Remember our golden rule from earlier? A fix is never finished until it's retested.
Wrap up and key takeaways.
Fantastic job working through that. As we transition to our conclusion, let's just quickly summarize the core framework we mastered in this explainer, so you can walk away feeling totally confident. I want you to take a mental snapshot of these rules. First, always categorize flaws by the 3 severity tiers and keep an eagle eye out for the possibility of a material misstatement. Second, strictly follow the 4-step remediation lifecycle: root cause, corrective action plan, implementation, and retesting. Third, remember that compensating controls are totally valid, secondary safeguards when perfect fixes just aren't feasible. And finally, the ultimate trap to avoid on exam day: retest everything over time.
I'll leave you with this provocative thought to ponder as you continue your studies. When you look at broken systems, you have to ask yourself, are you just putting out fires with quick, temporary patches? Or are you doing the hard work of rebuilding the wall so the fire literally can't start again? True remediation is all about structural integrity. Take these concepts into your practice questions this week, keep studying smart, and you are going to absolutely dominate this portion of your exam. Keep up the great work, and I'll catch you in the next one.